Hey everybody, how's it going? It is RambleCast time. This is August 3rd. In the cast tonight, we've got Corbin.
Hello. I'm typing a tweet that I'm here.
I always pitch to you just as you're tweeting.
Yeah.
So I'll take that opportunity since you're at least momentarily mentally occupied, and we're gonna start right off with a pitch to Techathon. It's coming up this weekend. For those that don't know, we're going to be supporting the National Network of Abortion Funds. Was that?
Yes.
Oh, that is the right name. For some reason, I had it in my mind there was a different name to it. But yes,
it's not a very memorable name.
I don't know.
It is concise though. I appreciate the conciseness.
I would almost argue more specific. Like concise in my mind also denotes some sort of like being short.
You know what they're doing. It's
they're very clear. They're not trying to hide what they do. This is
Sony could never name something like this.
Oh my! I mean, Sony would come up with a short name possibly.
It would be the
NNAF 731176
fund.
Yeah. There'd be more letters. Who am I kidding?
Yeah. So
wow, we're already picking on.
Yeah. So that's the Saturday from
Saturday?
11 a. Sunday. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, wait, what?
Last minute change code
again?
No. So yeah, it's gonna be from I believe 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on August 7th, and there's a bunch of other people joining. It's not just me and Cody for 11 hours. I would actually perish. Although I'll probably end up being on most of it because I'm streaming it, or hopefully gonna stream it. So I'm probably need to be near a computer the whole time anyway. So might as well just power through it and see if it can help get a couple more dollars. But yeah, so it's gonna be good. Hopefully everything works. I've been doing a lot of background stuff. I just messed with my home network again, and I did some streaming tests earlier. I'll probably do another one tonight or tomorrow. Make sure everything's solid. But yeah, hopefully will be a fun time. I think we've done 3 Techathons, I believe. 2. We've done 2 Techathons. And each one has gone surprisingly well. We've yet to have a catastrophic failure. So I'm feeling good.
The highest of bars. We set them so high. No catastrophic failures. Yay!
Yeah, and this is a more limited scope thing. This network is specifically for the US. So this is just a side Techathon, and then hopefully we'll have a quote unquote real Techathon in December again, like we've done past 2 years. And I need to make one more tweet. I have it in my to-do list. I need to make one more fix to the website. But if you go to techathon.live, that has the Twitter link, the Twitch. There's also a history page that I made that talks about the previous Techathons and how incredible they were, and how they raised billions of dollars.
Oh, so many money dollars.
$1 more billion is our goal. And there's also a whole schedule, and you can actually add the schedule to your own calendar if you want to do that. But yeah, so hopefully that goes well, and tell your friends.
Yeah, so I will personally be on. Let's see. You scheduled me for your time 4 o'clock, which I guess will be 1 o'clock for me. I will be playing golf, which I still I still don't have that. We need to look into that one because there was talk about replacing or rescheduling, or I might just join later.
That is on. Oh, okay. I'll figure it out. But I do know Golf with Your Friends works on Mac, and I did run it on my MacBook Air, so you should technically be able to play it. But I know you don't own it, so I'll ask Zach to go hunt down a very cheap Steam key somewhere because he's good at that.
That, or I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'll be popping on for Borderlands. I guess Posted Guess IO. I have never played, and
that game is like, I forget what it's like officially based on, but it's. Do you remember? Did you ever watch The Office by any chance?
actually no.
Okay. Well, I know there's like a game that's like actually this, I forget what it is, but it's like where you have a note on your forehead and everyone else has to guess what you are. It's that. Yeah. It's that, but it's like in a web browser and it's 3D for some reason. But it's fun.
All right.
And that's free. So.
And then at least for my part, I'll be, I guess, signing off with Fall Guys. All of this is still somewhat contingent on heat issues, which Sunday... Actually, what does my Sunday look like? I should look at that. It's so prone to changing, but...
130 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, shit. It's not good.
Oh, was I right?
97.
Oh, boy. Okay, well...
So maybe golf and Borderlands. we'll see after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. But yeah, we'll see what I can do. I'll probably literally be sweating by the end of this, but we'll see how long I can stick it out. Also, we'll figure it out later, but how are we doing the stream situation? Is it just going to be are people just going to be well, for like Borderlands, are people just going to be watching one person's screen? Is it a split screen?
I believe so. It's going to be probably my view for all of these, except Valorant, because I don't own that or know how to play it, so watching me would be a terrible experience. So we'll get one of the people playing that to, I guess, just send me their screen on Discord or something, and I'll broadcast it. But yeah.
Okay.
So.
I like how well planned this is.
I thought of that. Don't you be saying I didn't think of that.
I mean, I'm not saying it. I'm just alluding to it.
I mean, more views, I guess, would be kind of cool, but I am but one person. So
yeah,
maybe next time. We spent a lot of time this cycle working on the Jitsi integration, so we can't hide the Jitsi logo anymore on the stream, unfortunately, but we still can green screen it so it doesn't look ugly. We still have a fun background for Jitsi, so that's fun.
Indeed. All right, so we didn't actually talk about what topics would be on the plate today, but actually, before we get to topics, really quick, despite the fact that it is cool enough today to stream, it's a hot freaking day. So I'm pretty sure I've got about an hour or so of rambly goodness. Corbin seems to be about the same. So yeah, we're probably not going to stick it out too long, but we're here for a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so for
topics,
I'm hungry. Yes, Corbin, always the hungry man.
Always hungry. We always do this like when I would normally eat, but that's fine.
Yeah, so jumping straight into one, I feel like it's the unavoidable topic. Google Duo and Google Meet are going to become Google Meats. It's like a butcher shop.
Google has the meats.
It's going to be different kinds of meats. All the different kinds of meats.
That would have been a fun title if I wasn't working for a site that like tries to
be serious.
Well, not be serious, but like be clear about explaining things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was something that was announced in, I believe, June, and the idea was just that Google Meet and Duo would merge into a single app and service that would have the features of both. And they've been doing some behind the scenes work for that for the past few months, and now, as of today, they are officially hitting the button. So,
kind of.
Yeah. So, what they've been doing is they've basically been putting the entirety of Google Meet into Duo, and now, whenever like this 100% rolls out to everyone, Duo will just have all the Meet stuff in it. So if you click a link in an email somewhere to join a meeting, it'll open in Duo, but it's the same, app layout, whatever. And the current Google Meet app, it's still working. They've renamed it to Google Meet (Original), which is not confusing at all. And the Duo will be renamed to Google Meet at some point. I don't know when that's happening, but yeah. And then eventually they'll just turn off the Google Meet app, and we'll be left with the Duo app with a different name and different logo. So not like too confusing. Like this shouldn't happen in the first place. Like we shouldn't have got to this point. But
yeah,
they could have made this worse by like replacing them with an entirely new service that isn't compatible with either one or something.
Yeah, I'll grant they could have done this very, very worse, and that is exactly how. Literally, it's sort of like the classic XKCD standards cartoon. Like, we're going to replace everything else with an entirely new thing that doesn't work with anything that existed before it. Like,
yeah,
yes,
or
they could have screwed this up harder, but this is so close to the worst version.
Yeah, and yeah, they could have done like how the Duo launch went, where they kept Hangouts alive for a while because it wasn't like fully replaced yet, and then you just have two apps for some reason. But I guess at some point you won't be able to use the I don't know. There's a couple questions I had about this, but this specific thing appeared to be an embargo news that I didn't get, but like the Virgin TechCrunch did. So I don't know all the details besides what they talked about in June. But I know it's a little bit confusing that it's more the combined service is supposed to be Meet, but they're using the Duo app, and I'm sure they're doing that because Duo has been part of the pre-installed Google Apps package on Android phones for years now. So I'm almost certain Duo has more installations than Meet, just by virtue of being pre-installed. I don't think Meet ever was pre-installed, not counting when they put the entirety of Meet into Gmail.
Yes.
Because Gmail is pre-installed, but yeah. Hopefully that will get removed, actually. I would love that. Because every time I set up an Android device, I have to turn off that tab that has all the Meet stuff. It's very annoying.
Yes, agreed. So part of it, I'm sure, is around install numbers. That's a valid aspect. Part of it too, since it was pre-installed, I don't know if this is necessarily true on all devices, but at least if we look at history on this, devices that happen to have pre-installed apps, sometimes those apps are not completely removable. And I believe that's the case with any device where Duo was installed. I could be wrong on that. But if you happen to have a device with a non-removable app that no longer gets official updates, which plenty of old Nexus and Pixel devices would fit this bill. Yeah, you eventually end up with this floating app that you can't get rid of, and it just will perpetually live in your app drawer. And sometimes, if there are like dead updates or whatever in the Play Store, you will perpetually be offered updates. It's really annoying. So yeah, I think to some extent the better choice is to keep updating or kind of merge into place on top of the app that a lot of people are still stuck with. If they had abandoned that, that really sucks for any device that's not going to get an update that would remove this as a pre-installed app. So at least they definitely made the right choice on which one to go forward with. That being said, I still think that this is a questionable marketing decision, because people are used to names. They're used to things. At least for the next few months, this is going to be super confusing, or years, however long this actually ends up taking. And then one thing I think I understand the least about this is why they're specifically choosing to go with one video calling service, or sorry, one video calling app, when they could technically just make two. Keep it at two, rather, and then just use the same background service. It's good technology. I think everybody agrees. The technology is good. It's a good video chat system. But why not just offer two interfaces? Like one that is kind of for friends and family purposes, your typical casual video chat, and then one that's a little more work-oriented, let's say.
I think I would personally also like that, but I can understand from Google's perspective the issue where partially of their own making, because they didn't have this all figured out before COVID, but because of COVID, a lot of I hate using the word like consumers, but like not business people were using Meet. And so if they had to keep using two, but it would also be interconnected, I feel like that's more complicated than just having one thing.
Fair.
Or at least like it would be staying at the same level of complicated, which I feel like Google is trying to address. But yeah, like all of this could have been handled better. I still cannot fathom how much money and attention Google lost out on because they didn't have this sorted out before like March of 2020. Like it's incredible Zoom became the brief market leader there when Google has been established for over a decade.
Yeah.
And Apple has had FaceTime, but they didn't have a cross-platform way to do that, which they figured out later. But and Skype, oh my god, Microsoft, what the hell were you doing there? I know like they wouldn't have had time to do a reversal of like everyone's perception of Skype, but the fact that Skype was already everywhere and you could join calls from the web, and there's still no like time limit on Skype calls. Like because that's also why I've looked at it a couple times, when not this time around, but earlier for Techathon, we were trying to figure out what a good service would be for the whole like interface thing. Like Skype's pretty good. It's just not really, everyone's rented off already, so it's not getting any attention. Like actually Skype is I believe the only app on my MacBook Air that's not M1 optimized yet. And now granted, I think Microsoft has just been very bad at that with like half of everything that isn't Office, because just today Microsoft Teams is rolling out the Apple Silicon update. So they're just very bad at this. But like Skype it was already everywhere. And the thing that also frustrates me about Google's thing is that there's still no plan that I've seen for any kind of like like a desktop anything.
Hmm.
Like what happens when someone, because like this was always my issue with Duo, where Duo was really nice on mobile, but I don't. Could you even get like incoming call notifications on Duo? I guess maybe if you turn on notifications in Chrome, but like it wasn't built for your computer to have the same communication features. Unless I don't know, maybe if you had Duo on a Chromebook, you could use the I don't know. But like that's always been my issue with like Google's and stuff, where Meet's great when you're using links to join, because then you're sending the link through something else. And, you're not. It's not like a I need to call you right now kind of thing. But
Yeah.
Duo is I don't know, that's always frustrated me, because with like Skype and Discord and everything, I can very readily call someone if I need to, and I can get incoming calls from my computer the same way I can my phone, and that's like not really a thing with Meet that I've seen, or Duo.
And to think, there was, I assume this is still the case, I don't know, but I certainly remember when everyone was kind of justifiably creeped out, but also it was very cool that you could call somebody through Duo who didn't even have the app installed, and it would give them calls. Like that
Yeah.
was a pretty neat thing in its own way. And yet, when it comes to the web browser, yeah, no, you really don't have things like that. And we're talking about Google, a company that used to make sure everything worked through the web browser.
Or just a desktop application in Google.
Yeah.
Like Google Talk. I had it on my computer 10 years ago. Well, I didn't have the Google Talk app because I had like Macs back then, but I could, connect my Apple iChat to Google Talk, and I could text people through that and get messages and call.
Oh, forget that. The good old days of Adium.
Yeah, like I really like this is really important to me. I guess just does everyone at Google just keep Meet in a pinned tab for 24/7? I don't get it.
No, dude. iMessage.
Yeah, yeah, they don't even use it. Yeah.
Oh, not gonna lie, sometimes I wonder. Because, that kind of brings us around to the inevitable conversational point this has to lead is they're doing this for video chat. What are they doing about messaging? I even as I say that, I can feel Ron Amadio getting angry that I'm stealing his topic, but
I did just put in my list of things I will write at some point in the future something about what's up with desktop calling on this thing. So I'll look into that later, but
well, even just text chat, like
yeah, like how do I?
they're doing
Yeah,
they're doing this
there's
for
not a,
video, but they're not. It doesn't seem like they're really cohesively merging chat yet, which
well,
I would argue needed it more.
Yeah, chat is in the new Gmail now, but I hate also just having Gmail open for stuff that isn't Gmail. Like that's the main reason I stopped using Google Tasks and I just finished switching to Microsoft To Do, because Tasks, not only is it only in Gmail, but for a while after they updated it to Google Tasks and it wasn't just like the checkbox thing in Gmail anymore, they stopped letting you access it through just a web page. Like I had actually built a browser extension that put Google Tasks in the Firefox sidebar. I could just click it and do stuff, and that was helpful. And then they killed that. And then I think you still can't open tasks. Well, I think they brought back that view, but there's not like an actual like website you go to that mirrors how the mobile app looks. So it's very silly. I switched to Microsoft To Do, which actually has desktop and mobile apps. Shocking.
Yeah.
Honestly, like one of my top 5 Microsoft products now.
I have heard people say they like it.
Yeah, it's pretty bare bones, but I don't need much more than a list with words and a description. That's fine.
Well, for what it's worth, I struggle with to-do apps. Every one that I've tried, I either hate it for being like I want one of two things. I either want simple but with a few kind of specific features that would just make it a little bit nice for organization and such, and just looking nice, or I want it to be like a full GTD style to-do list manager. And I've been completely incapable of finding anything that fits one of these two things, and it drives me nuts. They're either obscenely simple, like Google Tasks level of simple, at this point we're talking simple in the like pejorative way, or they are feature rich enough to be overcomplicated, but not feature rich enough to actually like be powerful. And and I don't like either of these.
To do is like it's a step up from Google Tasks, definitely, but it's still not like super crazy. It does have the thing where you can share lists with people and like assign each other stuff, which is cool, and it has reminders. So the Mac app is pretty nice. I do have to remember to leave it running in the background to get alerts, which is a little bit annoying, but not a big deal. And that is optimized for M1s. That's nice. So they care more about it than Skype. But yeah, so that's I don't 100% love this either, but it's pretty good.
It gets a job done.
It actually has a good Windows app and a good Mac app, it's very nice. But yeah, and yes, I see Austin brought up the Meet thing, which is if you are on the premium Google one, that is like the 2 terabyte one Austin mentioned. You don't have a time limit on Meet calls. So
was there a time limit on on Google Duo?
I don't know about Duo. I know with Meet, it wasn't available to consumers at all before COVID, and then they rolled it out to normal people without a time limit. And they kept pushing when they would introduce a time limit, and that finally happened last year. So now I believe it's an hour for Meet if you don't have like the paid thing.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that's it. At that stage, like they're just telling people, "Hey, we have this thing. You can beta or you can trial it, but you should go use something else." An hour right now is not a good time limit.
Yeah, If I'm, let me see. I'll call, because that's another thing that like, okay. In April 2020, there was no time limit. Let me see if there's something more recent. That's for Google Meet. That might be something I should ask Google. I don't immediately see a support thing here. I'm gonna put that in my Microsoft to do. This is actually why I come on, because this forces me to think and creates content.
Yeah, we're super exciting right now as we idly. Whatever.
How do I do? I'm gonna ask Jeeves what it is.
So, okay, so
Oh, my Mac Mini was delivered. Cool.
oh, success.
Yeah, it's in my mailbox though, so I can't jump up and get it right this
Oh,
second.
okay, I was just gonna ask, do you need to go get it?
No, it's
Not
gonna stay.
not sitting on the doorstep, so that's good.
Correct.
Okay, so just for the sake of it, let's kind of round this one out. Do you think like this is kind of the end of the story? They're going to just merge, well, or sort of copycat all of Meet over into Duo, rename Duo to Meet. The original Meet will become Meet Original, and then they'll eventually just kill that one, and what is currently Duo, renamed to Meet, will be for the foreseeable future. That's it. No more video chat applications or services. Nothing new is changing, and they're going to stick to this. And do you consider that a good thing?
I mean, I can't really imagine what is missing from that, because if they cover their bases with businesses, which Meet already does, and they have the same Duo features, and it's like simple enough for normal people to use, like I wouldn't really consider Meet to be super great to use right now.
I don't feel like either one of them is particularly complicated. But yeah, I guess Meet was a little bit less user friendly.
More prosumer, but yeah, I mean, like if it works out, I don't really know what they would be missing from that equation, or why they would feel the need to introduce something else. I'm sure they will anyway at some point. But
let's just say there's a reason I'm asking, because it just seems like it could happen.
I don't doubt that there'll be something different eventually, because it's Google. But I mean, like, if I don't know, it's this is really interesting, because COVID really messed up, I think, how or what people expect from services like this, where like before that, like a lot more, I think, like, I don't know if Google's talked about this necessarily, but I've seen a lot of people bring this up, that like a lot more people now are familiar with the concept of like using a link to join instead of calling, or are like joining from like, because this stuff is link based, the factor of growing a user base doesn't really matter. Like that's why Zoom took off immediately, because like you don't need Zoom installed to, I mean, like they want you to install the app, but like you don't need it. Yeah, you don't need it. Like as long as the person making the call will use it, like that's what pulls everyone else in. So that is kind of like an equalizer that can disrupt this more than, I would say, like other apps and services necessarily. So I don't know, maybe in a year there'll be some other like Zoom kind of thing that becomes radically popular for some reason. So I don't know. And Google really has a bad track record with this stuff. So it would not surprise me at all if some new product manager comes in and we have 5 apps instead of 1 at some point. So I don't know. It's combining the typical Google can't sit still with messaging problem with the problem of this is a lot easier of a market to break than I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. So
well,
I don't have
it needs to be a market.
Yeah. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't feel confident about making any long-term predictions. But yeah, and it's especially weird because like all of the big companies are kind of going in a different route with this. Like Google's doing this, they're bringing their business app and their normal people app and making it one thing. Microsoft is still kind of doing the two app thing with Skype and Teams. They've like kind of made Teams into a consumer thing. Like it's built into Windows 11 as like a messaging thing, and if you have a if you have a Microsoft 365 family subscription, then your whole family has like a team that you can join, and it's kind of intended to be like a family chat for organizing stuff, which is kind of cool. Like if I had like kids, that might be helpful. But and then Apple's, they're not in the like business side really at all, but FaceTime is obviously very popular. So I don't know. It's interesting to watch. I think like given the mess that Google is in currently, this probably makes sense. But I don't know.
I want to say it was kind of inevitable, and in the good way. Like somebody eventually had to kind of come around and say, we need to do this. It had to happen. Cheers, good. And yeah, everybody wanted something like this to happen. I think almost everyone would agree that we all had other ideas on how it might be done. And I think most of us would probably argue we have better ideas on how it could be done. But it's good that they're doing this at a bare minimum, just because this is no longer a situation where you tell people that like you're going to video chat them or have a video chat with them, and then you have to convince them to get one of the two video calling apps offered by Google.
Yeah.
And especially if by some chance someone says, because how people who don't know brand names say things, like sort of like how people say, oh yeah, my phone's a Galaxy,
right?
Or
it's a Droid.
Yeah, exactly. So I have no doubt in my mind there are people who say, oh, I'll video chat you with Google or something like that, and that's gotta be, that ends up being like, I wonder which one they're gonna hit me with, or
which of the 7 apps on my phone do I click?
Yeah, which is still the problem with messaging, but maybe, and hey, maybe this is a sign that they're going to actually solve messaging at some point. They're going to clean up after themselves.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, I wouldn't mind using Google Chat if it like had a desktop application. Like that's the part that's missing. And what's funny is that I look at all the Chrome change logs, like all the stuff they add every time, and there are a couple of things that you can really tell are there because they refuse to make a chat desktop app. Mm-hmm. Like there is an API. I think it might be live in Chrome already, or it's a an origin trial where like you opt into it. But there is an API where web apps can request to open with your computer at login, which is really important for a work messaging application.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot of other things that could possibly be web apps.
You say that, but I bet there's plenty. Anyway. Oh, yeah. I do want to see them clean up after a lot of this stuff, but we'll see. By the way, hey, how's it going to Awesome Kirby? Good to have you with us.
Hello.
So let's see. You up for talking some OnePlus? I don't think this one warrants more than a few minutes, but
I can for a little bit. Why don't you introduce it while I get water?
Okay. Well, so the phone itself, I'm not going to say a lot about because honestly, I didn't look into it very much. Because honestly, I don't care. Sorry, OnePlus. This is a mid-range phone. It's not really my thing, but they announced the OnePlus 10T today. It's a mid-range phone. It's a mid-range phone that at least its initial launch price was going to be way too high. I believe and I could be wrong, I believe its launch price was originally going to be either 750 or 800. I'm not quite clear on what it was going to be in US dollars, but it was going to be, I think, 700 pounds in Europe. Anyway, so it, at the last minute, well, actually 2 hours before it was officially announced, OnePlus sent out an email to everyone who had it under embargo and said, oh yeah, by the way, price is changing. It's now going to be $650. So
Did they change the price in states?
I believe so.
I thought it was. I know I saw people using other currencies. Verge says it starts at $650.
Right.
What did I put in my article? Because I don't know if I got a correction.
Okay, so maybe the US price was always correct, and then they just changed the international prices.
I think that might have been it.
Whatever the case, yeah, random, bizarre, unexpected price change for at least some people, which for the best. I mean, the price came down.
Yeah, I'm surprised you called a mid-range phone because it's got a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 in it.
Okay, well, The Verge specifically calls it a speedy premium mid-ranger.
Oh, well, I guess mid-ranger in price, maybe?
I suppose. And isn't... I honestly, I can't keep track of the OnePlus product lines properly. But 10T, isn't the T...
The T is...
Was that their TikTok year situation, or was that their...
That's... The T is their mid-cycle, yeah.
Okay.
So, I know...
So maybe, why would The Verge call this a mid-range phone?
I mean,
maybe
it's
like a price thing.
Yeah, I think they might just be looking at price, because the OnePlus 10 Pro was $1,000. They just lowered the price after this launch, but it was $1,000, so that 600 is kind of in the middle. But
okay, all right.
I guess
then,
yeah,
The Verge has thrown me off. My skimming skills have failed me.
I can throw us back on, because I wrote about this. I'm not going to say against my will, but I don't really care about OnePlus phones, but I've completely tuned out of OnePlus for the most part. I'm just really sick of their marketing and their software updates slowly getting worse and worse. And the past 2 years, they've just unleashed seas of, well, not seas of budget phones, but far more budget phones than they need to put out. And some of them are pretty good, others are not, and all of them are not getting anywhere near the amount of updates and support that they should.
Who do they think they are? Samsung?
Yeah. Samsung, I'm not going to defend them either.
Supports their phones.
Their updates, yeah. If you get, I know with this, some of Samsung's A phones, they get updates for 2 to 3 years, which is in Android terms, that's pretty good. Obviously, you're probably still better off seeing if you can get an iPhone SE on sale, but in Android terms, that's better. It's better than what OnePlus is doing. So this does have the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which is what they're doing the naming now, instead of Snapdragon 835 Plus. I don't know why they put the plus there, but they did. In right in the middle. I don't get it.
Isn't the Plus... Isn't that the one that includes some sort of overclock for gaming or something?
Plus is the bin chips.
Oh, okay.
So it's marginally faster. I don't think I haven't checked this one, but in previous years it's just been basically the same chip, but marginally faster. So I assumed they've just, been manufacturing the 8 Gen 1, and when they find the chips on the line that are pretty good, they've been keeping them aside for later. But
So anyway,
yeah.
this phone, I guess just because we talked about it before, we could start on the camera discussion. Which did I? Let's see. I don't think
It has
a good picture of that. Where's your post gonna be?
I don't have that great images either in mine. I'll put mine in Ramble.
I'm pretty sure I'll have it.
I can't find your face in my server list code.
I already found your post.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't use the one that shows the camera?
No, the specs, no. But the main camera is 50 megapixels. I'm sure it's been to 12 or whatever. That's what every other smartphone does. And then there is an ultra wide camera, and they're still putting a completely useless macro camera on these things, which is very funny because of the whole alert slider situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the other thing I was going to bring up, but
yeah, the main point of contention with this, which we knew before then, like OnePlus already talked about this, because again, like, these launches don't matter. They talk about 90% of this way before the actual event, but I've already complained about that a lot, so I won't do it again. But this phone does not have the slider for turning on and off like alerts and vibration and stuff that I believe every other OnePlus flagship has had. Most of the budget phones, most of the budget phones they put out do not, because those are all just rebranded Oppo phones. So they never put in the slight bit of effort to do that there. But they, like, you can really tell OnePlus was trying their best to make an argument against this. In the embargo, actually I can find it, I think, because this is, embargo lifted, so it's public now, but they included an actual, like, separate page in the embargo explaining their reasoning for the alert switch.
Yeah, I have Ron's tweet up right now. They had a 7-paragraph statement about the removal of the alert slider.
Yeah. So I can read a little bit of it because it's kind of funny, but actually, wait, can I? Wait, I can't. Hold on, I have to figure out how to navigate Google Drive again because I hate
And folks, this is why I bring on the most tech literate people to the stream.
Yes. Well, I went to my shared section in Google Drive because that's where things are supposed to go when they're shared with me, but especially after I click on them. But I guess this one didn't for whatever reason, so I need to go back to Slack and click the Drive link where someone shared it with me. Okay, now I have it, and here's the statement. And they said, based on feedback from the OnePlus community forum and OnePlus Open Ears forums, we know our users expect OnePlus devices to have high wattage charging, a large battery capacity, and better antenna signal. To excel in each of these areas, space inside the phone needs to be occupied by the new technology. And they go on to explain that their super fast charging needs 2 charging pumps, which take up space in the phone, and they boosted the battery size. If they included the alert slider, the battery would have been limited to 4,500 milliamps, but without the slider, they did 4,800 milliamps. Again, you can just make the phone a little bit thicker, but we won't go there. And they also put some more antennas where the slider would have been that supposedly help. They said the
now, if they had just told people how much of a sacrifice they were making for that slider all those years ago, did you know that you could have 12 days of battery life, an antenna that could reach like miles further away, and I don't know, whatever else?
Yeah.
If only people knew that they could have so much by removing a slider. I mock.
Yeah, I,
This is
yeah. I, if I was gonna guess, I would say that like OnePlus phones, even the flagships, have always been slightly modified Oppo phones. Like this happens every single year where Oppo releases a new phone in China, and every tech blog will be like, "Here's the phone that will almost certainly be the next OnePlus phone," and
yeah.
then 3 months later, we get the OnePlus phone that looks almost exactly like that. And I'm sure part of that process every time was adding an alert slider because I don't think all of the Oppo phones they're based on had those. And I'm sure it's a lot easier to not do that step. And I'm sure it's a lot easier to not worry about the software because I know when I used a OnePlus phone, I almost never used the slider because instead I used just scheduling. Like I have do not disturb come on at night automatically. And like I can go into the quick settings and turn it on and off when I need to, but there's more stuff involved with making sure the position of the slider syncs with the software, especially when you do scheduling. It's not like difficult, but like again, like just removing steps here. And so I'm sure they looked at that and they looked at, you know, just like I'm sure Samsung did when they took out the headphone jack. They had the data in front of them that said however much percent of our users use this headphone jack. And I'm sure they made the business decision that, okay, you know, we might lose X number of people on the next phone, but we're saving this amount of dollars. We can, you know, put a bigger battery in whatever. And someone thought that was the right decision. And I don't know if it was the right one because I personally, wasn't going to buy this phone to start with. And I never really used the alert slider when I had it. So I have no strong feelings about this, but Twitter was very annoyed for a couple days about this. So it's a point of contention to be sure.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where software developers go through this all the time. At least the ones who, in some way, shape, or form, really take feedback from users. Any decent software project eventually is going to hit the point where the developers have to say, look, we need to remove something, no one's using it, or not enough people use it, whatever. And when they remove something, there's inevitably going to be some amount of people who are going to be furious that you're taking away what is to them so much a core part of the experience, a feature that they rely on, whatever. And in this instance, I'm wondering if this is just a perfect example of, you know, like the 200 people, every single one of them happens to be a very vocal, very loud person, and they happen to all be the ones that use this.
Yeah.
And every single one of them is speaking up as loudly as possible in as many places as possible because they need to let you know. Now, I can't judge. I've never really used the alert slider. Even when I had an iPhone, I didn't use it really that much. I know I used it, but it was infrequent.
Yeah, it's mostly just the thing you play with when you're bored, right? That's what it says. That's what it's there for.
It was the fidget spinner before fidget spinners existed.
Yeah.
Yes. In point of fact, I do actually remember hearing people complain that they wore out the slider on their phones.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not because they were actively actually using it for its intended purpose.
Yeah, it's because it's fun.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
I don't. I my version of this, honestly, a couple years ago was dual SIM support because I was in a weird situation where I had a SIM card with unlimited free data on it from a review unit. And so for a while, I was trying to pick phones that were dual SIM so I could have my actual phone number with, you know, the plan I pay for and everything and use the data from the free SIM card. And there are people who use that for like purposes besides that. But it's absolutely a minority in the United States. Like there are like 5 phones you can buy here that work on US networks with dual SIM. It might not even be 5 at this point.
I seriously doubt it. Yeah.
So like it's definitely one of those things where there's not that, well, I don't want to say demand, because I know this is a thing that like carriers have overridden the what possible demand there might be, but like this isn't a thing that people are actively hunting for on most phones. Like if everyone wanted an alert slider, then other Android phones would have them. But
Which brings us to the point I was going to. I was waiting to insert this, but we didn't. But you kind of got there first. I'm curious if some other company is about to pop up and say, "Hey, look at us! We now have an alert slider. We know you were missing it. We know you wanted it, so we're bringing it to you." And
yeah,
I 100% picture either Osem. Yes, that's how I'm choosing to say their name. Either Osem or oh damn it, what was the other? Nothing. One of those two for their next phone is probably going to add an alert slider.
yeah. Hold on, wait, I just got a thing. What the heck? Okay.
Austin,
Yeah.
it'll be Sagus.
Oh, the slider will pair perfectly with my 4 Snapdragon processor.
Yep. And 64 gigs of RAM.
Oh yeah, I need that.
If your phone cannot be an internet server, hosting like dozens of Minecraft servers, what are you even doing?
Yeah, so that the alert slider was a whole thing. Like I didn't really focus on that in my article because I felt like everyone else was going to.
Oh, no one should focus
So,
on it because it.
yeah.
I think some people care about this for sure and legitimately. I don't think that this is a totally made up issue, but I do think the number of people who care about it is probably very low. But it is a good. It's for the clicks. This is a very clickable topic.
And I think more than that, it was just the issue where people who have bought OnePlus phones for a long time are grasping at straws for anything that resembles how OnePlus used to operate and design their phones, and that was like the last vestige. Because like they're not super incredibly price competitive anymore. The software is not clean Android. It's not even really getting updates fast anymore. But they were keeping the alert slider for a while, and they did make a point to mention in their YouTube apology letter here that the quote, while the OnePlus 10T does not have the alert slider, this does not mean it will be removed from all future OnePlus devices. So
if we get enough blowback, we'll keep it.
Yeah,
this is what they're saying.
Probably. And also, and again, like I don't know if this was just a weird one-off thing. I don't know, because also the other weird thing is usually when OnePlus releases a phone, or like their main flagships, they do it at the beginning of the year or like very end of the year in like China or India, and then we get it in America in like February or March. And when in that cycle, they usually have a normal OnePlus and then a OnePlus Pro. And there was evidence that they were going to do that for the 10, but in the end, we only ever got the Pro. There was not a normal OnePlus 10, like a non-Pro. So I don't know if anyone really knows what happened with the non-Pro one. Maybe this is it, and it was just like they just held off for a little while or did some design changes. So this is just kind of a weird year for OnePlus, I guess. But yeah, so besides all that fun stuff, probably the main selling point here, honestly, is the fast charging, which is 125 watts for North America. And in other regions it's 150 watts. And they OnePlus did not explain the difference in this embargo or in what I got from them. But if it's like last time, then it's just because their SuperVOC technology, which is from Oppo, again, like it's the same company. They've kind of designed their fast charging for China and Europe, which use 220 volts on their outlets. And I guess they just don't feel like redesigning all that stuff for North America, which uses 110 volts. So it's just slower here. Like, there was nothing stopping my computer from using more than 125 watts. But I guess they just didn't want to build that into the charger for their phone. I don't know what the issue there was. I mean, like, either one of these is way faster than almost anything else you can buy here. So I don't think it's like a terrible thing. It's just weird.
Well, it stands out to me as my MacBook Pro has a 96 watt charger. That's where it maxes out. So a phone is coming with a substantially higher, that's 25% higher wattage going into a phone than what my laptop supports. And that's the highest I think Apple's ever done for a laptop. So, holy crap, OnePlus, have you ever considered the overkill?
Yeah. So like that's cool. And they also announced they're going to sell a 80 watt car charger. Not 80 watts like other stuff, but 80 watts with their proprietary charging tech, which I believe there wasn't like an option for that really before. I think some other companies made like car chargers that were meant for like Oppo's SuperVOC, but I don't know what the availability for those was like here. But anyway, so now they'll sell you a car charger too, which is honestly probably where I would use fast charging the most.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So that's good.
Of course, the irony to that is most cars cannot pump anywhere near that much power through any of their ports, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't read too much about I didn't have a whole lot of time to work on this because I am but one person at doing the news at How To Geek, so not a whole lot of time here. But they do claim the USB-A port, which is what their charging thing uses, is 80 watts. And there's also a USB-C port on it that does up to 30. So I do need to get a better car charger, though, because the one I have that charges my phone, it is very slow. I've noticed my phone barely charges at all if I'm using Android Auto at the same time. So I need to look into that. But yeah, so the charging stuff, camera stuff, people mad about alert slider, and they OnePlus almost got me with their press release. I was confused because they announced Oxygen OS 13 alongside this phone, which I thought meant that the phone was gonna come with it, and this would be one of, if not the first phone to ship with Android 13. It's not doing that. It's shipping with Android 12.1, and there's a beta out for Oxygen OS 13, but who knows when it's coming. The stable one. It usually takes OnePlus a couple months at the very least. Like, they're usually a little bit slower than Samsung. Especially if you're unfortunate enough to not have the latest phone they just released. Because I know some of those OnePlus phones took a very long time to get 12 when that was new.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, not great with that. Used to be really good at software updates. And also, this phone is getting 3 major Android updates and 4 years of security updates, which, if you include Android 13, you're getting 2 updates after Android 13, and Android 13 is almost certainly coming out this month. I don't
Right.
have any I don't have any secret information, just to be clear, but
Well,
it usually
history,
happens in
yeah.
August. Yeah. Yeah.
And didn't they have a? I thought it actually said August in the roadmap.
It might have. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's probably happening. Oh, my camera is like flickering colors like crazy. I'm gonna rejoin. 1 second.
Okay. And while he's doing that, I'm quickly checking. Oh, okay. So it turns out it doesn't say specifically August in the roadmap. They just show their roadmap with every single month listed up through July, and June and July are marked as the platform stability versions, and then they have a dash and just say final release, which is exactly in the location August would be. I'm sure they're doing this as kind of like a we don't know, we're not going to commit to August, which is fine. I'm not going to I'm not going to hold it against
Please
them
don't
to
stick
say,
to super firm release dates for important software.
exactly.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally 100% fine. And nobody, I mean, people care as enthusiasts, and I'm sure for business reasons, there are a few companies that might care a little about this. But for the most part, no one cares when an official version of the next version of Android comes out. Like, it's fine if it comes out in August, it's fine if it comes out in September, it's even fine, shockingly, if it comes out in October, as long as, and Google, you better be listening to me, because this happened, you did this, as long as it doesn't come out on freaking Halloween. You a-holes. You literally ruined a Halloween for me. Just want you to know that. Anyway.
They deserve it, honestly. If they did that to you, that's shameful.
No, they literally did actually release a version of Android on Halloween.
Terrible.
Seriously, I was just about to go start putting on some zombie makeup when, sure enough, Artem's like, hey, everyone, it just dropped. Get over here. You need to write.
Very funny. Good
Google,
job,
you
Google.
dirty, rotten a-holes. No, anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
so this phone's coming out in September. It's gonna cost $650 for 8 gigs of RAM and 120 gigs of storage, or you can get 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage for $950, which is quite the jump.
yeah, that's almost like Pixel 6 versus Pixel 6 Pro kind of jump.
Yeah,
actually, almost exactly.
Yeah, and I will say this seems like a okay price. Like $650, that's a little bit more than the Pixel 6, but less than the 6 Pro, all of the Galaxy S22 phones, all of the iPhones, except I think maybe the 13 mini, but no one's buying that anyway. So, like, it seems like a competitive price, and OnePlus's cameras are usually fine, and the displays are fine, but I really don't like their software. They get slower with updates every single year. And I think they're still working through some of the weirdness with trying to merge with Oppo's software, and I just have no interest in messing with that right now.
Yeah, I don't have enough experience with it to comment on that. And outside of OnePlus's sometimes questionable marketing decisions, I mostly don't have anything particularly against or for the company. They've just kind of become like the not as bad LG to me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird place to be, because that in my mind, LG is just nothing but bad. So this is the okay version of that. I don't know. making less and less sense the more I think about it. But it is just the way I think of it.
Austin said Asus Zenfone 9 for Corbin, question mark. And then Kirby said Pixel 6a. I did see Asus's new tiny baby phone, and it does look very nice. And I did, yeah. So I'm not gonna buy a new phone anytime soon, though, unfortunately. And as much as I'd like the smaller phones, I'd have to see how the battery life would be. I haven't looked at anything about Asus's phone besides that it exists and it's cute.
Right.
And I'm not buying. I was thinking about buying a Pixel A phone or a Pixel 6a, but that was mostly just because I wanted something to mess around with, and I don't need that at the moment. And also, I've spent a lot of money lately, so I have to cut myself off from tech purchases for a hot minute.
Corbin has gone full Apple shill. So.
I did. I have my iPad right here, and Mac Mini in a mailbox. I'm gonna talk about like one more small thing before I go. If there's anything I was looking at what I've written recently, and there's not like discussion stuff really. I saw not really, again, nothing to like super discuss, but VMware Fusion is getting closer to a version that runs on Apple Silicon Macs, which is kind of nice because I think Parallels has been literally the only app to run VMs on Mac. Except I know there's like a front end for however people say that.
I always say, this is one of those things where you never actually say it out loud, you just read it.
Yeah.
But I've always just read it in my head as QEMU or QEMU. I
would say Camu. I don't know. But yeah, so I know some people like I haven't used VMware or Parallels. I remember when I had a PowerPC Mac, I used Microsoft Virtual PC, which was pretty cool, and it came with Windows XP. I could play the pinball game on my Mac. And I don't think I ever ran Windows on... Oh, no, I used VirtualBox when I had some early Intel Macs in our house. So... never use these fancy pants commercial products.
So, I never used Parallels, which I kind of wanted to for a little while because Parallels apparently had this feature where it was really good with boot camp. Evidently, you could basically, like, if you needed to run natively, that like with nothing slowing down your system by running two operating systems at once, then you would boot camp. But if you just needed to kind of pop in to your boot camp partition for a minute, you could use Parallels. Right. And so I kind of wanted to use it for that, but I never got around to doing that. Instead, I did use VMware Fusion, which was really good. And the thing about that, by all accounts, it was more stable. It was more performant. Just all around it worked better, and one of the big things with Fusion is they just kind of made it so it integrated better with Mac OS while you used it. So that was kind of nice. And I used that quite a bit. It was a great software package. Kind of sad that they basically sort of abandoned it. They definitely stopped making that specific thing at a certain point.
Fusion still exists. I know that much. I'm not familiar with like how it fits in with their other stuff, but like you can still buy Fusion for Mac, and that's what this is. It's a new preview version of that.
Yeah, but they changed how Like they changed kind of like how the features worked.
Hmm.
And one of the things that they were really pushing hard on, I don't know if they still push hard on this, but it was the whole like, if you open a window inside of basically Windows, then you get that window just as a free floating window inside of Mac OS. Honestly, I never liked that. It didn't work very well, at least in my experience, which admittedly is far enough back that I don't think that counts anymore. But also, just you lost a lot of the things that you kind of needed, like being able to drag things between windows. A lot of stuff stopped working right. Again, that may have changed. I don't know, but it was an issue back then. But yeah, I like the idea of them getting something out, so maybe one of these days we can actually have Windows running properly on a M1 Mac.
Yeah, and I'll put, I don't know if you have this, but I'll there's the, oh wait, that's a referral link. Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh, hey, you know what? I was just reminded of something kind of by randomness. Corbin, say something in chat.
Okay.
Because last weekend, or no, 2 weekends, whatever, I don't know, somewhere in the while back time, I was getting hit pretty hard by spammers. So I have promoted a couple of people to be moderators. You have been you've been a diligent member for long enough. You get to be a moderator now.
Oh, thank you. This is first I'd like to thank the Academy.
You should be thanking spammers.
Okay.
Because spammers made this happen.
All right. Now I can send malware links in chat. Good.
I think we all know what's actually going to happen.
I almost
just going
sent
to be
the
pumping referral links in there.
Yeah, I almost sent the referral link again by accident just because it was still on my clipboard. But okay, but yeah. So they, I thought I started to write this and I thought that they hadn't released anything for M1 and M2 Max yet. They actually did. There was a preview last year they made, but it's still preview. It's not like Parallels where they have like a paid product done that works on this stuff yet. And so they did a preview last year. They just released another preview, which mostly the improvement here is that it supports Windows 11. So they've done the same thing that Parallels did, where they have like a virtual TPM chip, and that makes Windows 11 happy enough to install without any weirdness. So that's good. And they've like done some encryption stuff, so like the actual security stuff that the TPM chip is supposed to do is still pretty secure. They have experimental drivers now, so you should be able to run Windows VMs at like really high resolutions. Not gaming though, but like just normal Windows stuff is fine. And yeah, it's still the same thing as Parallels, where it's not going to emulate anything. It's just virtualization. So you still have to use Windows for ARM with this, or Linux for ARM, either one of those. Which it sucks, but like that's just how this stuff is. If you want an actual emulator, you use like QEMU, which is very slow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's nice. I might end up getting either Parallels or this or something. I'll have to try how the QEMU front ends go, but I know there have been a couple times already where like I need to check something in Windows 11 really quick for work, and like I'm either at a coffee shop away from my gaming PC or some other situation. So I might get that just so I can randomly test things in Windows sometimes. I'll see.
Yeah. So, just for giggles, we don't have to. This doesn't have to be a topic. I just feel like bringing it up because technically it is tech adjacent news, but it's funny. can we just agree that in political news, it's really not that easy to accidentally send the entire text messaging history from a person's phone to another person. That's
Okay,
a hard thing to do.
I saw the headline on this. What exactly happened?
Oh, see, I was just
know.
gonna do this as kind of a subtweet and show it
okay.
on screen, but kind of move on. But no, the quick thing is Alex Jones is apparently his lawyer, quote, accidentally sent his entire text messaging history to the opposing team's lawyer. I mean,
Wow.
people actually, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to back up your text message history, but somehow this lawyer just accidentally not only did that, but then sent it to the opposing team.
That's pretty impressive. That's like me. That's like me scanning all of my medical records and sending them in a pristine PDF to a random person.
Kind of, yeah.
That's impressive.
But yeah, that's the special level of what the hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, and also apparently it pretty much proves perjury. At least that's what's been implied by the lawyer.
They've probably got him on perjury like 17 other times in this trial. I can't wait for that man to be robbed of everything he owns. It's gonna be great.
I mean,
And I'm sure because our legal system is the way it is, he's gonna get himself out of a lot of the repercussions, but hopefully they get something substantial out of him.
I mean, at this stage, actually, I'm not sure that he really will get out of it because, as we all know, there's really one thing that determines whether or not laws apply to you, and it's having money. And he, at this stage, kind of doesn't really have that much, at least by all reports. He's already filed bankruptcy. He's
well, I don't know. He might have filed bankruptcy to get out of.
Well,
something.
you can get out of some stuff, but there's a lot of stuff he really can't get out of. And at this stage, I think they're pursuing him for criminal charges. I could be wrong on that, but I believe he is. So, or at least I think maybe they were going to. This was a civil suit that could lead to criminal charges. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, oh, hey. I scrolled down just a little bit. I'm not going to listen to the video, but apparently a judge told Alex Jones, "You're already under oath to tell the truth, and you have violated that oath twice today."
Whoops.
He might be pretty screwed.
I hope so.
Yeah, that would actually be nice.
Yeah. Like, even just besides the fact that he's like a shit stain of a person, he, like, all the people suing him are the parents of the kids who got murdered, and then all those parents had to deal with some random jackass on the internet telling them that they're full of shit for, I don't know how long it's been. Wasn't that like 2012 was that shooting?
Oh jeez, has it been that long?
Wikipedia says 2012 December.
Wow.
So so I cannot fathom what all of those parents have been through, and I hope they wrangle every last cent out of that terrible excuse for a person. And I love to see it. You love to see it. You love to see him squirm in court because he finally has to face some repercussions.
Yes, that would be nice.
Yeah. And I
creepy looking face. Anyway,
and Kirby mentioned earlier if I wanted the installer for Space Cadet, and I linked an article I did for How to Geek a little while ago that goes over all of the source ports for 3D Pinball, because at some point it was decompiled, so that you can grab the source code, and if you get the files from the game, which are like, you can get them on Internet Archive, and you just put them in the same folder. You can play pinball and a lot of stuff. Like I tried it on my Wii. Someone ported it to Wii Homebrew, and I played on my Wii. It's actually really fun on the Wii. I played a lot of it on, on my Wii. And there's like a modern, because like there's a 64-bit modern port for Windows. That was always like one of the things, like supposedly it couldn't be ported to 64-bit, and that's why Microsoft dropped it. But I guess it works fine. I don't know what the deal was at that point, but works on Windows, Linux, Mac. Someone ported it to Android. There's an Android version. I have that on my phone. I play it sometimes when I'm bored. That's a good board game.
I love the whole "it can't be done" by the company that owns the source code. Then other people are like, I don't know, I did it, and I did it over a weekend, and I just decompiled it.
Yeah, well, the person who did it said that the decompiled game worked on 64-bit on the first try. Like, they didn't even do anything. So I don't know if that was the issue. Also, this was like a licensed game, so it might have just been they didn't want to pay for something. But
that might be,
yeah, because like technically this game was a demo for like a game made by a different company. So, but anyway, so yeah, it's on Android. There's actually a web browser. It runs in like the WebAssembly thing. Someone made it for Switch. There's a 3DS version, also PS Vita. So PS Vita now has one game that isn't RPG, JRPG.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I was having fun with that. Austin said, I just found out about the sequel like Code of Ethics this week. Oh, Cody, did you see that?
No, and I am immediately filled with cringe even thinking about it.
Yeah, so
by the way, so technically, I know I corrected your pronunciation of a few things in the past, and I'm technically going to do it again right here, but I want to be clear. Screw anyone who says it this way.
Okay.
Technically, it is actually supposed to be pronounced SQLite. You're actually supposed to...
No.
Yeah, you're actually supposed to smash together SQL and light. It's supposed to be SQLite. I wish I was kidding. But I have heard people actually involved with the project very adamantly insisting that that's how it's said. They're wrong. This is like the guy who created GIF saying it's GIF. Sorry, but just because you technically should have had naming rights, it doesn't make you right. You had naming wrongs. Anyway, yeah. Go on. Code of Ethics.
I'm trying to there it is. So I guess like this is just a thing that no one notices or looks at, but the Code of Ethics for, is it using SQLite or working on the code? Okay, yeah. So it's just like for using it, I guess. And people were making fun of it because it's just like a list of biblical commandments. So I put it in the chat. The first so it says, first in accordance with the instruments of good works from chapter 4 of the Rule of Saint Benedict, the Code of Ethics has proven its mettle in thousands of diverse communities for over 1,500 years and has served as the baseline for many civil law codes since the time of Charlemagne. And then it has just like like really religious stuff for a database.
That's something.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Silicon Valley?
No, I know. I'll get to it eventually.
Okay, no, I actually wasn't gonna guilt you over this. Not like
okay.
That
unlike everything else, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's fair. But no, but Silicon Valley, they actually do have this one or two episode arc. Well, not much of an arc, but they have something in at least one episode that's kind of a whole, like, addressing how people in Silicon Valley feel about Christians. And yeah, I just seeing this, my immediate thought is, wow, I wonder how many people are gonna dump SQLite.
It's always funny because like there are more than a few open source projects where like when you actually look at like what the developers are like, or like the really early documentation stuff, it is weird stuff like this, like not necessarily like religious stuff, but just like
weird
I remember
stuff.
Yeah, like especially with all the like a lot of GNU projects, a lot of the people working on that are very like old weird people who are set in their ways, and I can't remember, there was something I'm not remembering any specific details, which annoys me, but there have been a lot of cases where like people have asked nicely, like, can we update like this help message that's kind of weirdly stated, and it just gets instantly shot down. Same exact thing with GIMP, actually. Like it's that same like weird like fuck you mentality, which is really weird because the entire point of open source software is to get as many people, is to be as inclusive as possible, because that's how you build alternatives to commercial software that have money for marketing and all this other stuff. But every time anyone has ever brought up, can we rename GIMP, all the developers are like, you go fuck yourself, buddy. Don't come back.
Yeah.
Or anytime anyone has suggested anything to Richard Stallman, just don't go away.
Yep, that was exactly who I was about to bring up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of that. And in fact, I remember, there was something, it was one of the first big open source .NET apps. Part of me is stuck on which one it was, because there were a few different ones that come to mind. But anyway, one of them, man, there were so many people trying to contribute to it, and the core like 3 developers were just absolutely against any idea of doing that.
Yeah. It is I just went to the r/programming thread on this, and first comment is about that Silicon Valley thing. And the second comment is from someone named Steve_B, and they said, everyone's getting cranky about the Christian origins of this, but no one's upset about the fact that a singular rule is in fact a long list of rules. I would expect nothing less from a database that doesn't enforce column data types.
Oh, sick burn.
What a savage insult.
Oh, wrecked. Purified wrecked.
But yeah, no, this totally reminds me of all the weird like GNU open source stuff. This is something that like Richard Stallman would write if I think he's like, I want to say he's hardcore atheist, but I don't know.
Well,
all I know is that he's like keeps being a creep towards women, and people want him to go away.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know necessarily what he is, but I feel compelled to bring up the other thing that was fairly a semi-common joke on, well, I don't know if joke is really the right word for it, but a semi-common thing on Silicon Valley. One of the characters does go to the Church of Satan. So
okay, so Wikipedia says he has said that he is an atheist of Jewish ancestry, and also he sometimes wears a button that says "Impeach God."
Okay, so that sounds about right.
You can believe what you want. That's like the least offensive part of this man. Yeah. He can wear his like weird button. I prefer if he stops being a weird person online.
Yeah, and also please don't become a Trumper.
Yeah, I don't. Uh, he's kind of all over the place. Um, oh man, I just saw the word Venezuela in this Wikipedia article.
he
Uh,
he he seems like an extremely boring version of a person who will someday become John McAfee.
yeah,
Like he is all over the place. He is kind of just crazy in that sort of dangerous to yourself way, but at the same time, everything he does is too boring to ever actually accomplish kind of the, dare I say, the coolness of McAfee. That seems like the wrong thing to say because the guy wasn't cool exactly, but
yeah, I don't know if Stallman's killed anyone. Yeah,
to be
I don't know.
fair,
Like,
we don't actually know if McAfee did either.
yeah,
That story seems a little embellished, but probably by choice.
I can't wait for the 20-part Tech Tales special on McAfee.
You should just record everyone groaning, and you don't even need to have a single guest or a guest. You just it's like a laugh track. You just play collective groans from everybody.
I will probably never do that.
No, you got to. Not 20 parts, but
I don't know. There's a lot. Yeah,
there is.
Yeah.
Oh, how about this? Okay, I doubt you ever watched the show Dollhouse.
No.
Okay. And hardly anyone would know this or remember it, but Dollhouse in their I think it was just the DVD releases, but maybe it was on TV too. They had the show for its regular season run, and then they had a bonus episode. And this bonus episode was like many years in the future. And they had this at the end of season 1. And then at the end of season 2, they did a second bonus episode with all the same actors, or I think all the same actors. And it was basically like a second episode. Like if they did a sequel series, these episodes would have been like a season of their own. Like if they had enough seasons to make that happen. You could do that with Tech Tales. Once a year, do just part of the McAfee story. Just way back, early days McAfee with somebody, and then a year later you do episode 2, and a year after that do episode 3. This is how you keep Tech Tales going.
Maybe the other problem with that though is if I start doing it now and I cover, let's say I do an episode about what he does in the 90s, and then in the future when someone discovers 18 dead bodies from him that he killed in the 90s, then what am I going to do with that episode? Redo it? I don't know.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I am like working on a couple more like, I don't know what the right word is, but like different stuff with Tech Tales right now. I'm working on a series that might be the longest one yet. The current record for that is 5 with OS2. It might be longer than that. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'll probably force you to do this one too. So get hyped.
And
it's not about
it's not a dead OS.
It's not a dead OS. So you get a little bit of a treat.
cut to some other definitely dead product though.
Oh, it's dead. Good. Yeah, so doing that, I've been playing around with the idea of doing like basically a like reaction episodes, or like where we're just basically watching something where I don't do a whole lot of research, because especially with this one's taking me longer, and I don't want to go like 4 months without an episode. So
that's fair.
That could, yeah, that might be one. I don't know. I'll see. I also know there have been a lot of podcasts that I like that do like something like a book club, Like they'll have people, they'll like tell everyone to watch a movie, and then they'll talk about it in the next episode. I think that might be fun to do with like some like weird tech movies. Like
You're just looking for an excuse to talk about Tron.
well, no, I was like, not necessarily like Pirates of Silicon Valley, but like that kind of category ish. But I don't know, just stuff like that might be different.
I'd actually be down for that though.
Yeah. Basically,
seeing as I was doing movie reviews sort of unintentionally anyway.
Basically, just things where like I feel like I can make something that's interesting that doesn't always require a lot of research digging. Because
so basically, you want to be like every tech blog out there.
Yes, I want maximum results for minimum effort.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do like doing the research part. It's just it always takes a while, especially like I legitimately I started working on an outline last week, and it was like 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, all right, I'll just work on this for a couple hours. I get a little bit into it, and I start going through like the Wikipedia reference links, and like this is some like obscure thing, so like half of them are dead. So I'm like, okay, great, I need to go find better ones, and then I'm like, okay, I'll put these in Wikipedia. Oh, wait a minute, the ones I found don't have the same information as the ones I'm trying to replace. So I'm gonna need to rewrite this part, and then I rewrite an adjacent part, and then it became 1 a.m. and I learned more about tape recorders than I feel like I needed to, but so that's kind of how this goes.
Yeah, that makes sense. And really quick, I wanted to make this joke earlier, but we sidetracked. You do realize you have to get Intel to sponsor you when you do a McAfee episode.
Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to. I'm waiting for that email from Raycon, or Audible or whoever. Hasn't happened yet.
I would say you should probably hit up. Who's the hosting service?
Linode.
Yes. Well, Linode would be good. There was another one. I know RackHost used to do that a lot, but I think they stopped. I don't know. But a hosting service. We'll just say that. Get a hosting service on. That's honestly, that kind of actually fits the audience.
There'd be a lot of stuff that fits the audience. It's very vast. We cover a lot of ground.
Yes, lots of people are looking for the old school tech stories. People that fit all diverse backgrounds and jobs.
Yeah, we've talked about space probes. We've talked about operating systems. We've talked about video games. A lot of ground. I will say, as I after I finished what I'm like trying to do right now, I do want to aim for some more modern stuff, because there's a lot of stuff like 90s and 80s, not a lot after that point, partially because like a lot of this isn't like settled yet, which is my issue. Like there is a specific Kickstarter project that I am 100% going to cover, but it's like still kind of ongoing, so I'm waiting for it to finish collapsing before I dig through the rubble, which is very annoying because it's very funny. Like I've been watching it, it's hilarious, but I don't want to do one yet because it's still an ongoing situation.
Which brings up, have you covered Sagas?
No, mate. Yeah, I could do that.
I mean, it feels like it's been kind of almost done to death, but at the same time, it just deserves the laughs.
It is very funny, and also I'm also trying to balance that with like, let's not make every single episode like mocking something, because then it's not as fun. But
I mean, okay, if you say so. To be fair, we didn't like, really mock the space stuff.
No, that was one where I was like, this wasn't this not a failure.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments that were kind of mockable, but for the most part, yeah, they did a impressive thing and actually did it mostly well.
Yeah, Austin brought up Oya. I think that's in my list. Let me see. There's a lot of stuff in my list. Oh, I can check that one off. I did that. Yay. The list only has 41 items in it now. I'm gonna clean these out. A lot of these I thought were funny, and they're not really a lot going on. I was working on an episode about the incredibly illegal game consoles that Soldier Boy was making,
yeah.
But there wasn't really anything to that except that it was a thing that came out, and that was it. There wasn't like a funny story behind that. It was just interesting to witness.
I sincerely can't wait for the day that you do the Escobar phone. That one, okay, you laugh, but I think that one actually has potential to be great, particularly when MKBHD did his video that's like, yeah, so they sent me this thing, and all the people that ordered one, they didn't get their thing, and they were basically just sending this out to influencers. And yeah, it's exactly the other phone. There's nothing special here, so don't give him money. Like I am.
There is a couple of things where it'd be fun to do just because I could diverge into completely unrelated stuff. Like there's one episode that I might do that technically involves the Civil War. So like that would just be silly to have. Like, hey, welcome to my tech podcast. Let me talk to you about the Civil War army.
I mean, okay. What was the name of the show? Mike Rowe did a thing. I gotta look that one up. Really good show. Not a whole lot of it. Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs, for those that don't immediately know him by name. Wow, IMDb loads slower. Just try, I dare you. Load slower than this. Oh yeah, it was called 6 Degrees with Mike Rowe. The very first episode that he did was how the Civil War is responsible for being able to bring their show to like produce their show. And he basically does this whole thing where he links feeding soldiers to a person who was responsible for meat production in Chicago, to that guy's kid or whatever who ends up developing strategies or recording something for football players, and eventually it leads to this guy or some guy related developed the hard drive controller, like storage controllers, and they use those to film the show. Anyway, obviously that's a bit of a hokey connection, but it was kind of a neat way to have an excuse to talk about the Civil War for 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah, and there's other stuff in here that like would just be an opportunity for me to rant about politics for a very long time. Like, I will eventually do an episode about all the weird alt-right social media networks that pop up and then die in 2 months. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be a blast.
Yeah. Oh, I do have Segas in the list already.
Oh, it's been mentioned plenty of times. It would have had to be in there.
Yeah, I'll have to see which one of these I'll do after the one I'm working on right now.
As a note about the crazy right-wing social networks, just as a marketing note, actually, when you do that episode and then publish it, you have to also do like a Twitter poll linked to your podcast. A Twitter poll just straight up asking which was the stupidest of the right-wing networks. just for the sake of getting people to vote, and it would draw more attention to the podcast.
Yeah.
But that one's begging to have some social media marketing go with it.
Yeah.
And everyone is going to still vote for Truth Social. We know that.
It was. I don't know. Gab is occasionally funny.
Gab was a good one too. Though. Yeah. Oh wait, what was the name of the one that Parler? Parler might actually be the stupidest of all the stories, because they managed to get themselves kicked off of AWS, or was it AWS? I think it was. But yeah, managing to get blocked from all of them. But yeah, managing to get kicked off for who they are and what they were doing. That'll kind of ruin you. Yeah. So there's a lot more stuff, and like I'm glad Tech Tales is very slowly still growing. It's getting around 100 plays per episode usually, after 2 weeks or whatever. Obviously, like as you go back, the numbers are higher, because if someone finds the podcast and they're like, oh, this is pretty sweet, I'm going to download the entire back catalog, and I don't know if they ever listen to it, but that makes the numbers go higher. Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that absolutely, like, if I find something I like, I usually go to the beginning and start watching.
I don't do like the beginning really, but I do work back and like try to hit a lot of the previous episodes. But yeah, like I definitely do, and I can tell like when people do that, because Spotify tells me like roughly, like it gives me like a list of like areas where there are downloads, not like on a per person basis, but like just you had 50 downloads in New York today, and it's usually like a handful of downloads per city in a given period, but there'll be like 10 times that if there's like one person in there who downloaded the entire back catalog. Like right now I have in the last 7 days it goes Orlando, Florida has 6, Columbus, Ohio has 8, and then New Orleans has 43. So one or two people in New Orleans just decided to download everything.
Yeah, hey, that counts.
Yeah, and the YouTube sets have been kind of interesting too, because it's getting mostly search, but on like weird topics that I don't know people search for. But yeah, so that's nice. I mean, I'm definitely vain, so I'm not gonna say like, oh, I would do this even if I was the only one listening. But like I'm having the same level of fun doing this now as I was when it was getting like 3 plays. So
right,
or like well, not 3, but like 15, whatever. So yeah. Although I do notice. Oh wait, I was about to say something wrong, so I won't say that. But yeah. So.
Wait, why stop now?
That's been the entire podcast. I've been spreading misinformation on purpose this whole time.
Oh, we know how it goes.
OS2 was actually wildly successful.
I'm sure to someone it was. Hey, that depends on your definition of successful.
That's true.
To someone out there, it was.
Yeah.
Because their mom was proud of them.
Sure, sweetie. You did a good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm now picturing somebody going into a bar and being like, hey, everyone, you're meeting the guy who built OS2. And everyone in there,
everyone stood up and clapped.
Yeah. That's like a bar of like 3 people.
Yeah.
No one knows what it is. But they're all so proud of you.
It's the bar outside IBM's HQ.
Oh god, yeah. It would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's be honest, those people needed a drink.
Yeah, poor guys. Yeah, so that's fun. I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go now, and also go pick up my Mac Mini.
Yeah, believe me, I was just getting ready to say, yeah, I'm sweating. Like, it's hot as hell in here. So, with that, everyone knows the routine. Thanks to all the Patreon subscribers, all 3 of you, you're awesome. Thanks to anyone else who supports the channel. If you'd like to do so yourself, there are links down in the description to Patreon, Streamlabs, and Cash App. I don't know why I put that one there, but it is. Also, this weekend, I don't know if I will be game streaming on Saturday. We'll see. Sunday, however, again, come join us for Techathon. We're going to be supporting a worthwhile cause. Hold on. Pulling up the name of it. The National Network of Abortion Funds. You're right, it is not a very memorable name. Yeah, so we will be doing that from 11 a.m. Eastern until 10 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to do all the calculations to get that to your time zones. Let's see. Corbin, anything else you want to mention before we outro?
Go follow Techathon on Twitch so you get a little alert when it goes live, and also tell all of your friends and family who might want to watch and support it. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot. We're probably gonna get less reach than all the other Techathons, just because this is a specifically U.S. issue, and also a U.S. issue that a lot of the U.S. does not agree on. We have fewer guests. I'm not gonna say why some people weren't able to make it, because I didn't like push people to join. Like, I just called it out. If they wanted to join, they could.
Well, and to be fair, this was a lot less of a ramp up in time.
Yes, this was also
way more last minute than previous Techathons.
Yeah, so we have fewer people involved. We have a more focused issue, so not something that like someone in Sweden would probably necessarily care about all that much, maybe. So definitely try to spread the word if you can, so we raise as much money as possible.
Indeed. So, with that, thanks everyone for coming by. Thanks for hanging out, being part of the conversation, keeping us rambling. Hope you have, man, yeah, the heat is hitting me because I'm instantly having that whole, wait a second, what was I saying? Though I do that anyway. But yes, I hope you have an excellent rest of your week. Do not let the heat get you like it's getting me. And yeah, may all of the digital things work for you this week without requiring recharging. I don't know. That just nice. that seems like a good thing to wish on somebody. But with that, good night, everybody.
Goodbye.